Hi, and welcome to Your Selling Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Kirk, aka Your Selling Guide. I'm a small town girl who took a big risk and quit a steady corporate desk job to travel the US in an RV. Along the way, I started selling on Amazon, grew a 7-figure business, visited all the lower 48 states, bought a farm, and today I am still doing what I love to do, selling on Amazon while helping other sellers do it too. Each week, I will share Amazon tips and tricks and bring in guests to share their stories, expertise, and tips on the platforms that they use. Think of this as a sit down with your Amazon bestie where you can learn, ask, start, and grow your online selling business. Welcome to Your Selling Pod.
Hey crew, and welcome back. Today we are going international with Canadian Amazon seller Samantha Larochelle. Samantha has been selling on Amazon since 2021, and if you are in any of my groups and you're a Canadian seller, then you've likely seen me tag her for help because while I know selling in the US, Samantha knows all about it in Canada. I'm really interested to hear more about what it's like selling in Canada, so with that, welcome Samantha to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So let's just dive right in. What is it like selling on Amazon in Canada? No, wait, let's wait back. How did you first get into Amazon selling, and what did you do or do you currently do as like your normal job?
So I'm a paramedic in Ottawa. I've been a paramedic for almost 19 years in the emergency medical field for almost 22 years now. And I was actually just watching TikTok. I came across somebody who was just making videos about selling on Amazon. He was selling private label, which right away I thought that was really awesome. And I know like many times in my career, I've been like, oh man, if only somebody invented that for like us as paramedics. And so I wanted to invent something for paramedics or create something for paramedics to use. And the more I researched it, the more I realized it was the initial investment. It's expensive. And plus the niche would be so like small. And then that person I was watching had a brother that was doing retail arbitrage. And that was the first time I had heard about it. And I was watching them on YouTube. And then you came up on YouTube and started watching your videos. And I pretty much just dove right in.
Nice. So how is it, like we can get into the nitty gritties of the differences. I mean, it's kind of funny because have you sold in the US at all?
No, I haven't. I want to start, but no, I haven't yet.
Yeah, so it's like we can compare notes, but we actually don't know what the other one is totally like. So it's kind of interesting. But I do know that over the years, there have been a lot of Canadians who have reached out to me. And from what I understand, it's pretty similar except for the FBM factor. So we can get into that a little bit later. But
Yeah.
similar in that you can go buy stuff at your stores, which are different than our stores, but there's still stuff and there's still people buying on Amazon. So that's really awesome that it helps. And I actually love having you in the groups because you are so very helpful and you like help everyone. I'm like, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I saw this come up and she was able to help. And so it's great to just be able to tag you and help.
Yeah, well, thank you. I love helping and sharing what I've learned, right? So because you shared what you learned, and that's why I was able to start. So
Yeah, exactly. So we have very similar mentalities, and that's why it's great. It's like you're the international friends of the North, helping sellers there. So it's been really awesome, and I'm excited for you to grow your helping other sellers part of it. But we're like getting way ahead of it. So you are currently you're currently still a paramedic, correct?
yeah, still work as a paramedic full time. I do this. I do retail online arbitrage part time, and I think that it's just going to continue like that for a while.
So you do more online arbitrage.
So yeah, so I took the Chris Grant online arbitrage challenge last February and started doing online arbitrage that way. And I swear I've barely put any time into it, yet I've seen so many benefits and so much profit already just from, listening to the videos once, kind of sort of knowing what I'm doing. I can't wait to actually have the time to really listen to the videos, do every single thing he's taught us. I can't wait to see like what comes out of that.
Yeah, it's so funny. I've bought so many trainings over the years, but I've heard, especially you've been like the biggest promoter of like how awesome it is. But
Yeah.
the online arbitrage challenge or OA challenge from Chris
Yeah.
Grant, we'll drop a link in the show notes. It happens a couple of times a year, so they just ended one, I think, in January or February. But everyone says the same things of just how amazing it is. And I bought it in 2022, and I still haven't sat down to take it. But the great thing is that you can sit down and take it at any point because it gives you access to it. So, but yeah, I've heard it's really helpful. So that's awesome to know that it's helped you because you're 100% OA.
No, I love shopping. I love shopping. I love just the thrill of going into a store and finding things. And I get bored of just sitting in front of the computer. So yeah, no, I would say I'm probably like 70% retail and 30% online.
So when you first started, how much money did you start with investing in this business? And then what does a normal week look like now? Like how much do you work on it? That kind of thing.
So it's really hard for me to put a number on how much I started with because I didn't really plan it or set a number. But with the first few shipments that I sent in, I spent about $500 on it. And like with our subscriptions to Amazon and everything and courses that I took, I probably invested about $1,500. And I got it all back within probably 5 months, I think. So yeah, but I can't really put an exact number on it.
So it sounds like you got your return on investment, your initial capital back within 5 months, which is what I also did. So within 5 months, I got what I had put in back and started taking out a profit. So as far as that, it's pretty, spot on similar to it selling in the U.S. So you guys are still able to sell enough to pull that profit back out.
I was definitely worried at first because, a lot of the videos that I found were all US based. And when you compare the two, Canada obviously doesn't have as big of a market as the States does. But yeah, we still have, ton of customers and still able to make a decent profit on things.
I know I was really excited for you, and I still am for sellers in Canada because it is still real new there. It's not like, as massive as it is here. So if you're a seller getting in now, it's kind of like when it does grow, because I do believe Amazon is always growing and it will, grow there, that it's a little, it's like you're in on the beginning. And so that can only mean good things for you down the line. So I think I told you that like really early on that it's going to be getting better.
Yeah.
So you are still working full-time as a paramedic. How does that look like with doing Amazon part-time? Do you do like a couple days every week or does it flex?
It really flex, just kind of based on my schedule. So it really just depends on what I'm working that week. I'll either work 5, be off for 4, or work 4 and be off for 5. And I usually try to make it so at least 1 or 2 of those days I'm outsourcing and packing up a shipment. I usually try to get a shipment in at least once every 2 weeks, just so that I always have inventory in. And then, I'll try to often just go online and either try to find products with Tactical Arbitrage, go through the products there, or I'll just do some simple online stuff, just going through clearance sites.
Are there a lot of Amazon warehouses there? Like, do you know, are your shipments always going to one place, or are you aware of how many there are there? I've never even Googled how many there are there.
I actually don't know how many there are in Canada. I know that there's 2 in Ottawa, and I think they're new. And I was so excited the first time my shipments went there because the shipping price was absolutely ridiculous how cheap it was compared to like if my order goes to British Columbia. But I find that we always have like 1 or 2 that I'm sent to. But yeah, we have 2 around here, and I think they're planning on building another one around here. So
yeah, see, they're always growing out there.
Yeah. It'd be so much nicer if we could just drop off our shipments with Amazon, but
it works similar, right? Where you would pack up your shipment using either Inventory Lab. Do you use Inventory Lab?
No, they don't have it here in Canada. So I really, I know I've sent them a couple emails and they're like, yeah, no, we're not doing it right now. It's like, please, I've heard so many good things about it. So all my shipments I do just in Seller Central.
Okay, and then it goes like you pay for the shipping or through your Amazon account, right? Like the same way we do, it comes out of your account. But as far as like FBM, your guys' mail system is a little different, so it makes it almost you can't do it, right? It's not profitable.
Yeah. So my very first sale was FBM, and it was something big and heavy, and I should have got like $50 of profit, and it all went to shipping. So one, that was great because I learned Amazon worked.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, I lost it all in my shipping. But yeah, so the postal system, I don't know, it kind of sucks. Here, it's expensive to send things like flat rate anywhere across Canada just for a small box is, I think, like it was $15.81. And then, but I mean, if it's something bigger or weighs more, it's more than that. So I haven't figured out how to do it. I know like there's a couple of smaller companies that does shipping, but I just really haven't dipped my toes in it. But I have spoken to some sellers in Canada that are able to make FBM work for them. So I just haven't had time to put into researching it and taking the chance and doing it, which one of my goals is to do that soon. But yeah.
Yeah, there's always something that you got. I've got like 5 things that I'm like, I need to learn how to do that or look into doing that.
I know.
On a list.
Yeah. It's a never ending list, right? You cross one thing off and then 5 more things get added.
Selling on Amazon literally is like whack-a-mole. Like something will happen. Like over here in the U.S., we just sent out that a warehouse in Texas. Something happened to it in December, and so we have to like pull reports to see what stuff is there. And so it's like it's always something going on where you're like, okay, let's figure out what happened there. But I was gonna ask you, but you already went into it. But that's really cool that I was gonna say, have you heard of other Canadian sellers who do it? So that just means it's possible. And so you can figure out that yeast.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'd set up a group or somebody else set up a group in a Facebook group, and we have like a little messenger chat between us.
Oh, nice.
And so through the chat, we ended up talking about the FBM, and I was directed to like a couple names, and it's possible to do it here in Canada. I don't know how yet.
Oh, that's awesome. I was just got back from the meetup in Florida, and that was like my main takeaway. And I'm always telling people you got to get in a community that like it talks, because you learn so much from talking to other sellers. And so when I first started the Canada group, I tried to do a Canadian Bolo group, but it just never really took off. But it's the purpose of it is purely to just get people together talking, because you'll learn yourself and you'll learn from other people by what they do. So that's great that you have a group there, because you definitely need it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And even like the group that I have with you, like even though we're selling in 2 different marketplaces, it's still helpful and beneficial. And you guys are able to help me, even though you don't sell in Canada. And I think I'm able to help you, even though I don't sell in the States. So yeah, it's so nice to have a community.
What are some of the struggles that you've had so far with just either being a business owner or selling on Amazon?
The biggest struggle I've had is time, just with my job. And of course, through the past couple of years, like I've been working a lot of extra shifts. And so it's really just finding the time to do this and finding the time to, I have a couple courses that I've bought, and I just haven't had the time to go through them. And it's always, I don't want to stop getting inventory and sending stuff in to get other things done, because then you lose money. And it's just, so yeah, that's the biggest thing, is the time factor and balancing work, life in general. And I have 2 kids as well. So time. Something else that I've really struggled with, just communicating with Amazon. I find sometimes it's so frustrating that you'll go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Like I'm dealing right now with a product that is listed. So there are sellers in Canada selling it, but I'm not able to list it. And Amazon is telling me, no, it's not selling in Canada. You have to create the listing. and literally going back and forth. And then it gets, sent up to somebody higher. And then they're like, yep, do this. And then they never talk to me again. And then I have to restart. And it's just so frustrating sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to talk, I always tell everyone, like, don't stop with them until you get the answer you want, because you will get the answer you want. But man, do they make it hard. Like,
oh, yeah.
Hard.
And sometimes it's hard because I'll like think of something that needs to be done. And so I'll send them an email, but then I work for the next couple of days. So I'm not really on top of my emails. And by the time I'm back and sitting at my desk and being like, Kate, let's get into it, they've closed the case. So I have to start all over again.
So tell me about the products you sell there. Obviously, don't give away your like exact products, but are you selling the same categories of products like we are here, or are there categories that you prefer? I know every seller is kind of different in what they like. Like some sellers might really like toys, while other sellers like beauty and all that kind of stuff. But kind of things and categories do you like selling?
So right now I'm selling a lot of toys. Like obviously we just came out of Q4 and there's still so many things that are being clearanced out because they're making room for new stock. So I'm definitely having a lot of toys, a lot of beauty. I kind of played in clothing initially, but I find there are so many returns to that. I didn't understand variations initially, how to research them. So I think kind of selling in clothing, just those like the refunds, not knowing the variations kind of turned me off of it a little bit. Yeah, I think those are my biggest two sellers, are toys and beauty.
I also started getting into clothing, and you do get a lot of returns. So now I just stick to kids stuff because people usually know what size of the kids stuff they need, whereas adult sizes, it's not necessarily that they don't know what size they are, but brands, at least here in the U.S., sizing is crazy. One woman size this is another size that, and so you get all the different. So I also did footwear for a while. I still do footwear here and there, but that's another one that the adults seem to be getting lots of returns, whereas the kids are a little more safer. So do you want to explain more about the variation that you're talking about? Because I don't want to do all the talking, so I'll let you explain like what you learned or learned the hard way.
Yeah, for sure. So I found this really good pair of pants that we're selling. There was lots of different kinds, lots of different sizes, colors, and all that. And I'd look it up and I would be like, wow, it's, the seller rank is 1,000 or the sales rank, sorry, is 1,000 or 5,000. I'm like, this is really good. And then I would get home, I'd send it in and it wouldn't sell, or some of them wouldn't sell. And I didn't understand why. And then I noticed like at the bottom of the Keepa, the variations tab. And then I started to go look into that. And I found, just doing through some research on how to tell what item is selling better, I learned that, they'll have the trophy on if it's size 10, it has the best, the most reviews, sells the best, they'll have the trophy. And then you can tell if that's selling at like 30%, then the next second best is at like, 20%. And then you can kind of see how well each size and color is selling based off of that. So had I have known that when I first found the pants, I wouldn't have bought a lot of the pants. But yeah, so that has actually been also a game changer for me, for like if I'm selling soaps, and sometimes bundles will come up. And I use Keep on almost every single item I find. And yeah, so I'll buy, the variation that sells the best, but I don't mind buying the variation that is second best and third best because it still has sales. And another seller might not want to do that, might not want to spend their money on something that's not going to fly off their shelves, right? So I don't mind being one of the sellers that buys the second and third one. Yeah, I might have just rambled.
So no, I just learned because I didn't know that Keepa showed you that. So that is great information. Again, why you should talk to other sellers.
Yeah. It's just, so some things won't have it and it's right on the bottom and it's just the variations. And yeah, you can go through that and
so I've used Keepa to the variation tab I've used to like see, like when I'm trying to find, I see it live on Amazon with the green color 7 or whatever, but I'm trying to find the blue 7, whatever. And if it's not active, someone selling it, it might still be there, and Keepa's really easy to find the listing that way. So I've used it that way, but I've never looked for or noticed the little, trophy award. That is a great tidbit right there.
Well, good. I'm glad I could help you with something.
So have you had any like hot product chases throughout the years of selling so far?
Yeah, one of my very first items that I found just flew off my shelf. I was so excited and literally was selling at Staples, and it's discontinued in Canada. And I was literally driving to every Staples or ordering it online to find it. And I think I probably got about 20 of them. Yeah, that was amazing because it was literally my first or second product, I think, that I found. And then recently, I've been selling a couple baby products for about a year, and they've all gone on clearance at a certain store around here. So I've driven to Montreal and across the border in the Quebec side here, and I'm making a 545% return on every single one of them. Yeah. So unfortunately, there's somebody on there that's tanked the price, but I'm just going to wait them out.
So you have that problem too.
Oh, yes, very much so have that problem.
Well, that's good that you know it's discontinued. So then you're like, yeah, I'll just let you sell out and I'll wait.
Yeah, exactly. And I won't send like all of them in that I have at the same time. I have some inventory in my office that just when this one gets low, or if, the stock is low and someone's price tanking it, I'll just wait until they're off the listing and then send more in.
So how did you find those products? Just normal scanning?
Yeah, I tend to just gravitate towards clearance items. I think I found it once on a clearance shelf at Loblaws here. And then so I'd see it at another store and I'd go scan it and see if they have it on clearance, because I know sometimes they don't advertise they have it on clearance. So if I know I found something in another store, I'll just go find a price checker in the store. And yeah, so I just started every store I went to, I looked for those items and I found them clearance everywhere. I think they're still selling at normal price somewhere, and I'll buy those because even at full price, they still make a bit of a profit. So yeah.
Nice. What would you give, or like, what's some advice to sellers in Canada who maybe are listening, maybe interested in it, or are just struggling to like get started, or that first like 3 months where you're like, someone was lying to me, this doesn't really work. Like, what would you give advice to other sellers there?
So first piece of advice I'd give is create an email account that's only for your business, because I didn't do that, and now my personal email account has like thousands of emails. So that would be my first one right off the bat. The next one, if you're struggling, just find a community. I know that there's some Facebook groups where it's really negative and people are just on there putting other people down, but just keep looking, because without a community, you have no one to turn to for advice, and other sellers can really help you, even if they're on a different marketplace. And don't give up, because it's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy, but you'll get the hang of it. Like I would say, I'm very comfortable in sourcing. I'm very comfortable doing my shipments. I'm very comfortable helping other people. And it takes time, like with learning anything, that you put the time into it and it'll come, just like anything else that you learn. And then the other thing is Keepa. Keepa was a game changer for me. And I was really hesitating on getting it at first because it was another subscription and I just didn't want to pay the money. But it was a game changer for how I bought things.
Yeah, those are all really good tips. When I started, Keepa was free. And about the second year, I think they realized what they had would make them a lot of money.
Oh,
and so they started charging for it. But yeah, luckily it's not super expensive, but it is another thing. But I think it's absolutely necessary. Like, you can get by without it, but you are going to make a lot of, bad buy mistakes that you wouldn't if you had Keepa to check again.
Yeah, that's exactly it. When I first started selling, I was doing it solely based on like the sales rank, right? If something just sold, the sales rank is going to go down, but you have no way of knowing that it hasn't sold for like the past, month. And then, so I had a lot of items that were just sitting on the shelves at Amazon, not being bought, though I thought they were good because the sales rank was good. But yeah, so Keepa was a turning point for me.
I made the similar. I bought a toy. I still remember it was a toy. I think got it at TJ Maxx one year during Q4. I was like, oh great, it's $100,000 in toy. And then as soon as I sent it, it was like 500,000. I was like, oh, so that
Oh,
did not just happen to sell when I
yeah.
scanned it.
But yeah, and the other thing is we're going to make mistakes, right? As new sellers. And it's okay. Like I mentioned earlier, my very first sale was FBM. I lost all my profit, lost a few dollars, but we learned from those mistakes. And I wasn't upset that I lost money in that, right? I found out it worked. And so just be willing to kind of take the mistakes you made and see why they were made and just put them towards your business, to grow.
No, totally. It's one of the things that people are just scared to make mistakes. And yes, as a business owner, some of your mistakes are going to cost you money, but you learn so much from them that I've had to ship stuff for a loss, but it's like I learned I'm going to take that back to the store. Like, I don't need to keep selling it. I learned that I can't just guess what a toy, it was like a plush thing, maybe a foot tall plush, but
yeah,
it had like battery operation. So it was a little bit heavier and it cost more to ship. And I was like, I'm going to make money on this. Nope, didn't. And so I just took it back. But I've made, I've made costly mistakes of ordering some fragile things. I used a prep printer at the time because I was ordering them from a distributor. Amazon ended up sending them out in padded envelopes, which all broke. And so I lost all of that money because I ended up scrapping them. So it's like, now I know I won't do that again. Like, you just learn different things. And like you were saying, I always say it's like learning a different language. You're literally learning something new that you didn't know before. And so you're going to have mistakes. You're going to take time. It's going to be frustrating, but it's worth it in the end.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What is if you had to pick just one thing that was the best part about selling on Amazon, what would you pick?
Just knowing that the business that I started, I started it. I put the time into it. I took a chance on myself. And I don't know, just looking back, like, it was scary, but I did it. And so that's really cool. And then I know you said one, but it's also really cool because I'm hoping I can be an inspiration to my kids, right? That you can do anything. I never thought I would start a business or own a business, and here I am. I hit my goal for last year, and so I really hope I can be a good example and an inspiration to my kids for that.
That's awesome. Do they help you out at all in it, or do they not want to?
Well, they often say they want to, and I offer to pay them, and I think they've done it for less than an hour each, and it wasn't a lot of work. So the intention is there, but no, they don't help me much.
No, but you're setting a great example that they can do whatever they set out to want to do. Like, you're going to trip, you're going to fall, things are going to happen, but that's a perfect example. What is one of the worst things?
So along with me being the one who created this, I am responsible for everything. So if I don't do it, it doesn't get done. So I would honestly say that would be the worst thing is, being responsible for everything.
Yeah, I was just thinking, because I forgot to say, I was going to say this earlier, but I have a little bit of a cold. So if you're hearing that, that's what that is. But it is the same. Like, if you don't get a sick day, like, there's still stuff that has to get done, or it just doesn't get done. And that's the one downside that I've seen is
I have 4 or 5 shipments, receipts I have to show Amazon because they say they didn't receive it. I haven't done it, and I have some stuff to send out, and that's been sitting in my office for like a week and a half, and it's all on me.
Well, I really enjoyed this because I know we've chatted on our live hangouts in the groups, but we've never just sat one-on-one, and so it was really fun for me just to hear more about you. But the main takeaway is it's pretty dang similar to selling in the U.S. You have all the same problems with Amazon. You can sell stuff for profit the same as we can. So thank you so much for just sitting down and chatting with me. I know you are big on helping other sellers, so where can people contact you if they want to reach out?
So I do have a YouTube channel. It doesn't have many videos on it yet. So it's just Samantha Larochelle. I will be starting an Instagram, and I'll let Nikki know the name of it so that she can put a link there for it, because I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, so I'll link all of her information in the show notes. She is in a couple of my groups. I can't remember which ones, but if you tag her. But yeah, thank you so much for just chatting with me today and telling me more about it. And hopefully we can catch up again another time.
Oh, definitely. I would love that. Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Next week, I will be back to break down all things travel sourcing. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out the video of this podcast on YouTube at Your Selling Podcast. And as always, you can learn more about all things Amazon at yoursellingguide.com. If you have any questions, you want to be a guest on the podcast, you can email me at podcast@yoursellingguide.com. Until next week, happy sourcing.